Grand Theft Auto 3, one of the most important games ever made. It revolutionized open world designs and shaped an entire generation of sandbox games. But here's the thing, just because something was revolutionary doesn't mean it was good. GTA 3 might have built the house, but it had cracked walls, broken plumbing, and barely any furniture. Let's break down why GTA 3 doesn't hold up and honestly never really did. Let's start with the foundation of any Grand Theft Auto game. Driving. If you think back to the hype around GTA 3 at the time, one of the biggest selling points was the freedom to steal cars, freedom to explore a massive city, and freedom to cause chaos. But when that freedom runs on wheels and those wheels slide over the place like you're ice skating, the whole illusion falls apart. Let's be real, GTA's driving felt terrible. It feels like you're trying to steer a bar of soap. Cars almost have no weight, they float and slide. Turning feels delayed, braking, forget it. It's wildly inconsistent, and sometimes your car stops like it hits a brick wall. Other times it takes a dozen feet to even slow down. Now that wouldn't be frustrating if the rest of the game gave you a reason to run everywhere. But the game design forces you to spend hours cruising the city, chasing missions, and evading police, all while wrestling with the terrible driving model. Why does this matter? Because if the core mechanic, the thing that the player does the most, feels like a chore, then your game suffers. To put this into perspective, let's look at the two other games released during that time. The first was Driver in 1999, released 2 years before GTA 3, and it felt way tighter. More satisfying car physics, the cars felt like actual vehicles with weight, momentum, and responsive controls. Even Midnight Club Street Racing, which Rockstar themselves released later in 2000, outpaced GTA 3's driving by miles. It nailed tight quartering and gave you a thrilling sensation of speed. GTA 3's driving felt like it was stuck in the sandbox of the PlayStation 1 era. But even with those constraints, the driving model shows a lack of polish and refinement that you would expect from such a major release. Rockstar could have focused better on the driving physics and designed the city missions around walking or other transportation models. Instead, they gave us cars that felt like they were made of paper. Let's get into how this feels to the player. You steal a car, finally get to moving, and then you spin around the corner and crash into a wall. The camera jerks around awkwardly, the music cuts, and you're stuck reversing trying to regain control. The mission requires you to have driving sequences and becomes a test of patience rather than skill. Of course, we have to acknowledge the hardware limitations of the PlayStation 2 and the challenges Rockstar faced creating a fully 3D environment for the open world for the first time. There are a few design choices here that contribute to this problem. Number 1, the simplified physics. Rockstar prioritized getting the cars to work at all in a massive open world, sacrificing realism. Limited animations and collision responses. Cars don't react to impact realistically, leading to rubber band effects and ghost collisions. The fixed camera angles doesn't help with driving, causing blind spots and clunky navigation. Let's break down a few specific missions that highlight these flaws. Drive Missy for me. You're supposed to escort a character while avoiding police. The car tends to slide into obstacles and slows the progress. Another mission that has this issue is a mission called Ice Cold Killer. Driving fast is crucial, but the inconsistency in braking and sluggish turns makes it feel frustrating. At the end of the day, GTA 3's driving feels unfinished, clunky, and actively detracts from the gameplay experience. It's not just nostalgia, even back then players were complaining about how bad it was. This flawed core mechanic is a huge crack of GTA 3's foundation. And the driving is only the beginning, because if you thought the cars were bad, let's talk about the guns. Alright, now we've all struggled with the driving, so let's talk about the other core of the gameplay loop in GTA. Combat. You're basically a sitting duck in a firefight, and the aiming, it's primitive. At first you might think, it's a shooter in a 3D game, how bad could it be? But here's the brutal truth. The gunplay in GTA 3 is flat out terrible. You're limited to an arsenal of weapons, pistols, shotgun, machine guns, rocket launchers, sounds good, right? But it doesn't matter when you're holding it in your hand, because the shooting mechanics themselves are awkward, clunky, and uninspired. There's no cover system, no smart AI that encourages tactical play. GTA games are supposed to make you feel powerful, a bad motherfucker ruling the streets. But GTA 3, the gunplay strips that away. You don't feel like you're in control, you don't feel sharp, you don't feel dangerous. Instead, you feel like a clumsy amateur fumbling with a water gun, and shooting them becomes a boring exercise in trial and error. Another mission which is prevalent is cutting the grass, the mission where you're forced into a tighter space with multiple enemies and the camera angles swing wildly. You mainly have to line up the shots, but the camera angles and the clunky targeting system makes this a nightmare, especially in crowded environments when enemies move unpredictably, and the deaths feel cheap. So why is the combat so bad? Rockstar was pioneering the open world genre, and here, they focus on the freedom of exploration and the mayhem but sacrifice core combat polish. The technology of the PlayStation 2 and the ambition scale meant compromises. And even if so, it's clear that the shooting mechanics weren't a priority. But how are the weapons themselves? Some of them are laughably ineffective. The pistol feels weak. The shotgun looks powerful but often fails to kill enemies at a close range because inconsistent hit detection. Explosions like grenades have an awkward throw arch that makes aiming more frustrating than fun. The audio cues don't help. The gunshots lack punch and weight. There's a little bit of feedback when you hit enemies, no detective grunt or no staggering animations. This deadens the excitement of firefights and removes any sense of progression or mastery. Later GTA games would introduce a cover system and better enemy AI, weapon upgrades and smart aiming, but in GTA 3, combat was mindless and spray and pray. It's repetitive and becomes a chore very quickly. Many reviews noted this too. Many players complained about the clunky shooting and the boring firefights. Forums were full of tips on how to avoid combat altogether because it was just easier to run and sneak around. So with driving combat and failing to deliver, what's the main character? Does Claude bring anything to save his experience? Spoiler alert, he does not. It's time to talk about our main protagonist, the star of the show, the man that could save GTA 3, the protagonist, Claude. And what does he do? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. He's meant to be the player's avatar, a blank slate for your criminal fantasies. But does the silence equal cool? Or does it have any void of personality? No. Let's compare Claude to other silent protagonists. Look at the classic silent heroes who worked. Link from The Legend of Zelda. The world is colorful, full of characters who react to him, so the silence feels intentional and mysterious. G-Man from Half-Life, silent but the world feels intense in atmosphere, and the NPCs react and build around his character through action. Claude gets none of that. No personal motivations, no inner conflict, no glimpse into his past, no moments of doubt, just silence. Because Claude is a blank slate, the story struggles to connect. Missions feel like random errands and there's no narrative tying you into the events emotionally. You're just going through the motions. Cutscenes don't help, Claude never speaks or reacts. He mostly just stands in place expressionless. There's a reason why this matters. Characters are our anchors, they give us something to care about, we want to watch them grow, change, or struggle. Claude feels like a tool, not a person. And this makes the story feel entirely hollow. Given GTA 3's ambition and setting, Claude could have been a fascinating character, a damaged criminal with a story to tell. Instead, he's a silent blank, dragging down what could have been a compelling narrative experience to nothing. Compare this to later GTA protagonists like Tommy Vercetti and Vice City, Carl Johnson, who all have distinct emotions and memorable lines and emotional arcs. When you don't feel connected to the main character, it's hard to stay invested. You don't want to root for Claude, you don't want to empathize with Claude, you don't see the city through his eyes. Silence feels more like an excuse for a lack of development than a deliberate choice. Claude might be mute, but at least Liberty City is supposed to be loud, alive, and right. Liberty City, Rockstar's pride and joy in GTA 3, a sprawling metropolis with promises of danger and crime and opportunity. But when you actually step into it, the illusion cracks wide open. Back then, Rockstar touted Liberty City as a living, breathing city, pedestrians roaming the streets, traffic flowing through the busy intersections. You could feel the pulse of urban life. The reality, it's more of a diorama. A painted city rather than a lived-in one. Pedestrians don't have routes, they don't react to the chaos around them. They mostly just walk in tiny loops repeating the same animations over and over again. Cars crash into each other without consequence, they don't even obey traffic rules or respond to players' actions in a meaningful way. It's hard to tell that when you're moving through different parts of the city. NPCs are mostly there to be run over or shot at. They don't offer side quests, gossip, or dynamic reactions. The city doesn't feel alive, it just feels like a backdrop for violence. Now, the radio stations are actually the best part of GTA 3, believe it or not. They do a fantastic job at creating an atmosphere. They add humor, style, and a soundtrack to your crimes. But the radio alone can't carry the weight of an empty city. What's missing? No shops, no social hubs, no random events beyond violence. There's barely anything to spend money on besides guns, which you gain a lot of money but you can't even really do much with it besides buy ammo. Let's talk about the thin, fragmented narrative GTA 3 called a story. Let's dive into the story. GTA 3's narrative promises of a crime drama, revenge, and the rise of the underworld kingpin. But what does deliver? A patchwork of forgettable fetch quests tied together by thin dialogue and flat characters. You play as Claude, who was betrayed by his girlfriend during a heist and left for dead. Yep, that's your motivation right there. That's all the motivation they give Claude. Revenge, that's it. Simple enough, right? The problem? The story never really builds tension. You don't feel the stakes or consequences. It's just going through the motions, running errands for mob bosses, without a personal connection. The missions mostly favors for random criminals. Go here, kill that guy, grab some stuff. No narratives, no arcs, no growing power, just more errands. The plot starts with the same silence, unfeeling ghost from start to finish. You don't see him rise, fall, or transform. There is no payoff at all. When the story ends, it feels like you barely moved the needle. You don't own the city. You're just a hired gun who's used and discarded. And then there's Salvatore Leone, the most interesting character in this game. He is the most powerful mob boss and the closest thing GTA 3 has to a charismatic figure. His voice acting stands out. He feels real. But then he suddenly turns on you out of nowhere because you were talking to a woman. What? No warning, no paranoia buildup, no reasons given. 1 minute you're family, the next you're on his hit list. It's a cheap plot device to shove you onto the next island and mission arc. The game sacrifices narrative comprehension for forced progression. The contrast with GTA 4, where betrayals have a layer of emotional impact and consequences. GTA 3's betrayal is just a plot trigger, nothing more. By the time GTA 4 dropped in 2008, the gaming world has changed, so has Rockstar. Everything GTA tried to do, GTA 4 did better. Better characters, better combats, better cities, better writing. It was a leap into something human. The man at the center, Niko Bellic, who many consider to be the best GTA protagonist alongside Carl Johnson. He's more than just a hired gun, more than a blank slate. He's haunted, broken, reflective, a man shaped by war and tragedy. And that depth bleeds into everything. Talk about Niko versus Claude. What Niko does better compared to Claude? Claude is just a tool. Niko Bellic is actually a character. Claude doesn't walk, doesn't feel, doesn't question. Niko wrestles with every kill, every betrayal, and every lie he is tasked to survive. When Niko is sent to either kill Playboy X or Dwayne, who he has bonded over because Dwayne just got out of prison and feels used by Playboy, Niko chooses to kill Dwayne. You can see the tension and emotion in the cutscene.
Open up! It's Niko!
I thought you was my homeboy, that you was gonna put Playboy down for me. What you doing here?
It ain't that simple, Dwayne. This is nothing personal.
Fuck you, man. We was tight. You fake like the rest of them. I thought we was close, Niko. Niko, you cold. Fuck you, man. You a fucking snake like the rest of them.
Claude just follows orders. Niko weighs every choice like it might be a drag for him getting deeper into darkness. GTA 4 script had a soul. Conversations felt raw, real, and often painful. Even the combat of GTA 4's tone, the guns are deadly, cover matters, you're not just a superhero. You're just another guy with a trigger. Every gunfight is a struggle, not just a shootout for points. You're not running gunning, you're clinging to your life. Liberty City in GTA 4 felt more lived in. You can hear conversations on the sidewalk, you can see people reading newspapers, calling cabs, eating hot dogs, going on about their day like real New Yorkers. And GTA 3 is just a stage set, a prop city, where everything exists for you to blow up. GTA 4 is about the American dream, the illusion of freedom, the cost of chasing wealth and power. It's a crime being sure, but it's also a tragedy. GTA 3 doesn't really have a theme, it just throws crime at the wall and calls it a narrative. The moment you play GTA 4, you realize something. GTA 3 wasn't just out of date, it was hollow. It has ideas but no execution. It has ambition but no heart. GTA 4 didn't just improve on 3, it exposed it. GTA 3 is legendary. It's cited in documentaries, it's studied, game design courses, it's remembered as the game that changed everything. But here's the question that nobody asks. Does being first mean you're actually good, or was it just you were the first? The legacy is powerful. It's preserved greatness, or is it protected mediocrity? We looked at GTA 3 with nostalgia goggles. We remember how it played in 2001, but not how it actually was. We remember the freedom, chaos, the radio, not the broken missions, not the lifeless protagonists or the stiff controls. Now, where GTA 3 stands in history. While technically GTA 3 did contribute to the 3D open worlds that we see now, it also helped the GTA's like going after it to be way better in terms of controls, driving, and story. GTA 3 stands for me. It just was really the first to do it and to get the ball rolling for other games to stand out and do it way better, like Vice City, San Andreas, or even Saints Row 1 and 2. That's where I'll leave it. What did you think of GTA 3? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Do you hate my opinion while me dead? Talk about it in the comments.